Hey, Jared, guess what?
Is it Friday?
It's Friday, Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. We are so excited for a good weekend. Jared Smith, Lauren Jbara. We got week 8 college football, week 7 NFL. We got MLB action. We got NBA action, NHL action. It's going to be so much fun, Jared. How you feeling? Are you amped? Are you pumped? It's the weekend.
I am so pumped. So first of all, yesterday was the sports equinox. And you know how big of a nerd I am. It's
Big
like the
nerd.
sun and the stars and the moon and the planets all aligning. All four major sports happening yesterday. Just the 25th time in the history of the earth that it happened.
In the history of the earth. Wow.
I know. And now the record I saw only went back to 1971, but I'm assuming before 1971, the records got a little spotty and there probably weren't a lot of NHL games, period, happening, just because there weren't as many teams going on back then. So it hasn't happened a lot. It happened yesterday. I had all 4 TVs, one sport each TV.
The fact that you have 4 TVs in your living room set up, if you haven't seen it, go check out Jared's. Did you tweet it out too?
I did. I tweeted out yesterday. I tweeted out yesterday.
It's actually, how do you have that many TVs and how do you have that many cable providers?
It's all streaming. I've got the Fire Stick, the Roku, and everything. But it was
living room's working in overdrive.
It's true. My electric bill is insane every month. But I think that, it was like a moment. It was like a spiritual moment when the Browns game kicked off yesterday, and all 4 TVs. I had hockey, football, baseball, basketball. Your Hawks were incredible yesterday. We hit a 4-team cross-sport parlay. All 4 sports. Boom, bang, 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 bang. And we middled a Thursday night game. We Broncos 3.5, line moved the Browns -1. Yesterday was like this spiritual awakening of gambling. And not every day is like that. You don't want to get too high or too low. But when you have moments like that, you appreciate them. So I appreciate you. I appreciate the gambling.
You peaked yesterday. It's all going to be downhill from now. I'm just kidding.
I'm taking the night off. No picks today. No picks today.
Oh, man. Well, guess what? We're giving a lot of picks today.
Oh, crap.
Because we have a pretty exciting weekend ahead of us. We have week 8 of college football. We're going to give some of those picks. Our friend Andrew O., who ate a slice of humble pie this past weekend, is back in action, ready to go. He's going to give us his NFL week 7 picks. And then we can't end, Jared, without our what? Best bet. Is that what it is? Best bet of the day? And I feel pretty good about mine. I know you're feeling pretty good about yours. So without further ado, let's bet it. College football. I know Tuesday we talked a lot about it. We had our early bird strategy. How have you seen some of the lines move since then? And who are you on heading into this weekend?
Well, we're going to play a little game today. And the game is, I purposely did not put this in the rundown. I did not tell Jack about this. I wanted to surprise you with this. We're going to play a game today.
Oh, my gosh.
We're going to play guess how much the line has moved in Jared's favor.
Okay.
Sometimes the game is a winning game. Sometimes it's a losing game. I know Iowa State, you probably know this answer. So I'll wait for this hand. In fact, I'll let you give the Iowa State, Oklahoma State handicap in a little bit. I'll start with the game that's moved the most in my favor this week. And that's Georgia Tech, Virginia, the total. I bet the over at 60.5. Lauren, you need to guess what the total is now here on Friday. Take a guess.
You bet the over?
I bet the over at 60.5 on Monday, Sunday night, Monday morning. What is it now?
65?
Close. Thank you. That's kind of you to think I got 5 points. 63.5, which is still a full field goal move to the over. I would still play it at 63.5. I think Lauren's number that you just gave, that's the Freudian slip of how many points are going to get scored in this game. 65. So UVA, you've watched them. They play fast. Bronco Mendenhall on that offense, they have the second most plays per game. Georgia Tech, too, also relatively fast tempo, 51st in the country out of 130 teams. And we know about Virginia's offense. The question is, can Georgia Tech's offense score, I would say, about 21 points or so? Well, they're decent this year in offense. And I think a big one for me, too, is Virginia's played 4 straight unders, which is kind of surprising considering their offense is pretty, fast and pretty
Well,
solid.
The Duke under was because they held them to 0 points.
Exactly. But also the average total of those last 4 games was almost 69.
Wow.
So you're still getting a discount here from what the average total was for Virginia's last 4 games. even if you do buy the over now at 63.5, I would definitely play it. So Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, Georgia Tech over 60.5.
Okay.
We'll give you the last game because you know that we love the dumpster diving, and I know Mr. Jbara is, waiting with bated breath.
My dad just waits for the dumpster dive bet of the weekend. He's just ready for it, Jared. You can't go a show without giving one.
Johnny Walker Black, by the way, Mr. Jbara. Wyoming laying 19.5 against New Mexico. I must be crazy because Wyoming got shut out last week against Fresno State. So what are we going to do the following week? We're going to lay 20 with a team that gets shut out the prior week. But New Mexico is like the worst team in the FBS. I've rotated that mantle the last few weeks. Monroe was there, but Monroe just had a big win. Now New Mexico is the worst team in the FBS. 129th in yards per play. They've scored just 37 points in their last 4 games combined. Yeah. Average scoring margin in those 4 games is a -27. Well, that's good. We only need Wyoming to win by 20. New Mexico 0-7 against the number this year. So Wyoming 19.5, laying almost 20. Georgia Tech, Virginia over 60.5. And I'll let you give out Iowa State, Oklahoma State, so I can.
Well, but you're betting the game a little bit different. I'm betting straight up. You're betting the spread. But I have Oklahoma State money line plus 210. It was still plus 210 on Tuesday, and it's still plus 210 right now. The spread, I think it started at 6.5 points. It moved almost 7 everywhere. I think there's only like 1 or 2 sports books that you can still get it at 6.5. But I like Oklahoma State as the underdog in this one. I mean, they rallied last weekend. We were talking about it against Texas, right? And then Iowa State also won on the road. They beat Kansas State. They beat Kansas the week before. Like, big whoop. Going into the last 2 games, they were 2-2. They were 2-2 in that stretch.
Big whoop.
And I mean, neither Kansas State or Kansas have been really formidable opponents, right? So you're like, yeah, they're 4-2 now, but you look at what Kansas State and Kansas have done, they're combined 0-6 in conference play. So I'm looking at that like, has Iowa State really beaten anybody that tells me that Oklahoma State, they're going to, at least cover the spread against Oklahoma State? I don't think so. And despite Iowa State's record, there's still a good argument to be made that like the Cyclones are actually better than the Cowboys. They're more well balanced. I know I'm giving some picks for Iowa State right now, but they're more well balanced. They have maybe the best quarterback running back combination in the conference. Purdy and Hall are capable of making life like a nightmare for opposing defenses. But Iowa State overall defensive numbers, this is what I focus on. Like, their run defense has been strong. They're allowing 97 yards per game, but they haven't really been playing well on that side of the ball recently. I don't think they're a full touchdown better than Oklahoma State. The Cowboys have a ton of momentum. Their defense has been remarkable, especially late in big games. I looked at the last couple of games. They've allowed no points in the second half at Boise State and just 7 in the final 2 quarters to Kansas State and Texas. So I look at how Oklahoma State, they've been playing on the offensive side too, and they've been playing better offensively. Their defense is strong, and all of that makes me be like, I kind of like Oklahoma State money line in this game. They're playing like a team with something to prove. I think that they want to prove basically the people wrong because they're undefeated right now. People are like, oh, are they really as good as they seem? Yeah, I think they are as good as they seem, and they want to show odds makers. They're like, hey, we're not a touchdown, underdog in this game. So that's why I'm taking Oklahoma State plus 210. Digested, Jared. Marinate on it. How you feeling about it? Because you're on the other side of this one.
And it's not that I don't like Oklahoma State. We were on the Pokes last week against Texas, and that was it. I didn't
like pokey. Like, what is there? I don't know what.
I think that's Texas. Texas.
No, this is Texas.
That's Texas.
The thumb sticking out is not.
That's the Wolf. That's NWO Wolfpack, NC State. Yeah, we're gonna do like shadow puppets. We used to do a few weeks ago. We did like we were screaming the mascot. We did the rooster cock-a-doodle doo, and we were howling like wolves. Yeah, you have much better vocal range than I do. Also, someone who has much more range of motion, legs and arms than both of us combined. Brock Purdy. Brocktober. It is October still.
We got Jocktober. We got Brocktober. We got fall.
Hopefully, Locktober. We're going to be out some locks this week, right? So I think I think when you look at his record in October, it means absolutely nothing for this game. It's a fun statistic. He's 11-2 in October, but those 2 losses were both to Oklahoma State like 2-3 years ago. So there's a bit of a discrepancy there. It's not really a statistic I would use to handicap this game. But what I will say about Brock is he's a poised quarterback, and this is a game that I expect to see his best. Yeah. I thought we'd get it against Iowa. We didn't. Another chance for Iowa State to prove that they are a legitimate team. This is a team that a lot of people thought might sneak into the college football playoff, might win the Big 12 this year because of their quarterback, running back situation. You're right that the books are disrespecting Oklahoma State. I mean, they're undefeated. They're first place in the Big 12. They have their sights on a Big 12 championship, and they're getting a touchdown against a team that's lost twice. It doesn't make sense. That's why you have to bet Iowa State, because the books are begging you to take the points and to take that plus money nugget with Oklahoma State. That doesn't mean Iowa State's going to win.
Guess what? The books were begging me last week to take the Cardinals.
You're right. You're right.
Won.
You're right. And that's why what we're saying is not gospel for who's going to win the game. But if I had to choose what side of the ledger I want to be on, do I want to be on the side of the bait or the side of the bookmakers? Maybe once or twice.
The
bait will win, but more often than not, if you roll the dice 100 times, the house will win more than they will lose. So I will continue to side with the bookmakers here. The sharp side is Iowa State. That's what I've heard this week, and I just have to take. I got 6.5, not 7. I wouldn't lay 7. Don't chase bad numbers. If you can lay 6.5, that's what I would do, and I'll take the Cyclones.
Yeah, Jared, you can either play it safe.
Exactly, you're right.
You can risk it for the biscuit, baby. That's what we're doing this weekend. Oklahoma State money line plus 210. I'm feeling good about it. I want to tell you another one I'm in on.
Yes,
and. It's not. I'm not betting a spread. I'm not betting a money line. I'm betting an over under.
Wow, is this your first college over under? You don't bet them though too often.
I don't really bet. Okay, I actually am betting the spread and the under in this game because I can't go without betting for my betting Irish. USC at Notre Dame. I'm in on 2 bets this weekend. Notre Dame laying 7 and the under being 57.5. I love my Fighting Irish, Jared. You know how much I do, but I do not trust their offense by any means. I look at Coach Brian Kelly. He doesn't know who his quarterback is. Jack Cohn, Drew Pine. I mean, Tyler, they've all been seen playing in recent weeks, right? None have grabbed a hold of the job. So Brian Kelly's sitting there and he's like, who's going to be my quarterback? And guess what? Is it you that says it or is it Alex that says it? A team that has 2 quarterbacks
has none. I mean, it's a very common saying. I think Alex said it most recently. It's actually I believe Steve Spurrier was the one who coined it.
Yeah.
I believe.
So with Notre Dame, I'm sure, I appreciate leaning on the run game to help out, but it's been non-existent really. I mean, they rank 125th nationally, averaging a little under less than 3 yards per carry, and 125th nationally in rushing success rate. So that should help the USC defense. I think they're going to give up yards, but limit explosive plays. And I look at Notre Dame, their strength lies on the defensive side of the ball, right? I like how it matches up against USC offense that ranks 47th nationally in points per drive and 8th in success rate, but it has not been good at finishing drives. They're 87th in red zone efficiency. So I don't think this is going to be a really offensive game, but I definitely think that Notre Dame's going to be able to cover the spread in this one. But I don't think there's going to be a lot of touchdowns being scored. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points being scored. So I really like the under. That would be my first bet in this game, is the under 57.5. But obviously I have to bet for my Notre Dame Fighting Irish too.
Obviously.
And I feel confident enough in their defense that they'll be able to hold USC to a very limited number of points, and decently comfortable enough in their offense to think that they're going to cover the touchdown spread. But most of that is just because I think that Notre Dame's defense is really good. So that's where I'm going for the Notre Dame game. Under.
It looks like a lot of the money is agreeing with you here on Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Move from 6.5 to 7 at a bunch of shops. In fact, it looks like 7 is kind of across the board now. So definitely the markets agree with you on the spread. The totals, I don't know. I unfortunately didn't have a chance to hear back from a couple bookmakers I reached out to about this game just yet. but it looks like, based off my rudimentary analysis here, it looks like the money is coming in on the over, but the total's pretty stable. I'm not seeing much moving off of 58. So that's good news for you too, because when the money's coming in on one side, again, it's Friday morning. These games usually don't get bet until Saturday. The public doesn't bet college football very early. But this is going to be a pretty, and we talked about this earlier in the week. It is a trophy game. Mm-hmm. It's a jeweled shillelagh is what they play for in this game. So
what do you think is a shillelagh?
It's like a scepter kind of thing. I don't know. It's like one of the. I think Jack can maybe send us a picture or something of it if he wants to put it on the screen.
The jeweled shillelagh.
The jeweled shillelagh. It's something you would buy.
You want to take on the jeweled shillelagh at the end of the weekend.
You want to buy if you want to get something nice for a significant other this weekend. Buy them a jeweled shillelagh, and they'll be very happy.
Christmas is coming up.
Christmas is soon. Absolutely.
Jeweled shillelagh. That's the thing. All right, I want to know, Jared. Out of all the college football games that you're looking at this weekend, are there any that you're like, I have to stay away from this game? There's either not enough value, too many people are betting it. Where are you seeing, a game or two that you're thinking about staying away from?
Well, the biggest percentages I'm seeing right now, public wise, it looks like there's a lot of handle coming in on this Clemson-Pittsburgh game. It looks like there's a lot of handle coming in on Penn State. Laying a monster number against Illinois. It looks like Ohio State laying a big number at Indiana is getting a lot of handle. Those big, chalky public favorites, on paper, it sounds like Illinois got no chance to keep up with Penn State, and same thing for Indiana with Ohio State. But the numbers moved, and everyone's betting them, and I'm not saying don't bet them. If you feel confident, Ohio State's look great. Maybe they win by 50. Indiana's look bad at times. I get it. But I just think there's so many college football games on the board that don't bet where everyone else is. That's why I like the dumpster dive games, because nobody bets them and the line moves are very true. I know if a line moves in a Wyoming, New Mexico game, it's because a sharp bettor in Vegas is betting it, not because the public is. Yeah. So that's why I prefer those games at times. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to find an edge on a big marquee game, but those are the ones that are look like they've got a lot of saturation to them here on Friday.
I like it. I absolutely like it, Jared. I actually was looking at the Indiana game earlier in my early bird bets, and I decided to not bet it. I was liking Indiana though.
It's moved a lot. It's moved all the way to 21 from 18 and a half. That's a pretty big move.
That's a really big move.
Yeah.
But I decided not to bet it either. I mean, maybe we'll see. We'll see come tomorrow.
Take the 21. Take full 21.
Why not? Why the heck
And then
not?
I told you the way to do it is you bet Indiana plus 21, and then you bet CJ Stroud's over props. And you kind of balance it out a little bit. Yeah. Stroud goes nuts, you might lose the Indiana bet, but vice versa. If he doesn't go nuts, you probably win the Indiana bet. So that's a fun way to play.
I like it. I'll definitely look into that. All right, let's get into some NFL talk. More football, different caliber, I guess. NFL Week 7. We're looking forward to it. And for that, let's bring in our good friend, Pickswise Editor Andrew Ortenberg, all the way from California. He always wakes up bright and early. He's done it twice this week to join us. What's up, Andrew? All right, now we're shifting from college football to NFL Week 7. Let's bring in our friend Andrew Ortenberg all the way from California. Usually only wake up, Andrew, once a week early for us. This week, we get the honor of having you twice. How is it? Good morning. Happy Friday. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I think good. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason this morning, each of the past few Fridays, I've been waking up with a gung-ho attitude, smile on my face, ready to go seize the day after I shoot this. Today, I'm thinking I might just go back to bed after we shoot this.
What's wrong? I'm a little disappointed in myself. You want to share something with the group before we move forward?
Nothing's wrong. I just was feeling a little more tired. I'm just
all right.
I'm just thinking after the show, I might just pass back out instead of going and seizing the day like I have been. So I'm a little disappointed in myself.
Carpe diem.
I'm feeling good.
Seize the day.
You know what, Andrew? Give yourself a little grace. I kind of want to go back to bed after this too, and it's 10:45 my time right now. So, hey, it's a weekend. You know what? You're celebrating. Have a good time. But before you do go back to bed, we need some of your NFL Week 7 picks. So tell us, what are you eyeing? Who are you on? What are you feeling good about?
That I can deliver. By the way, don't expect me any more humble pie eating. That was a one-time thing. I'm back to being cocky. I'm going 4-0.
I love
it. Let's get that out of the way.
Andrew Ortenberg.
Let's start off with Danny Dimes. I like the Giants this week, +3 against the Panthers. I mean, the Panthers, this current state of this Panthers team being a 3-point road favorite over just about anybody seems a bit ridiculous to me. I faded the Panthers last week. I was on the Vikings. The Panthers, we all got excited about this 3-0 start. We do. It's understandable. If you look at who they beat the Jets, they beat the Texans with Davis Mills, and I believe his first career start, and they beat the Saints on the week that the Saints had like 9 offensive coaches out with COVID. It was like the most fraudulent 3-0 you possibly could have imagined. And now Sam Darnold is back to being Sam Darnold now that the schedule is toughened up a little bit. He looked awful last week, and even more so than just him looking bad, what I would find alarming if I was a Panthers fan, it looked last week like the coaching staff had completely lost confidence in him against the Vikings. He was like 6 of 19, and they were, until that final drive that he put together a few plays on that 98-yard drive that almost screwed me. But up until that point, they were only letting him throw checkdowns, screens. They weren't trusting him to do anything down the field. So I think that's a very bad sign moving forward. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey's still out. And I am still somewhat of a believer in this Giants team. I just think they're not quite as bad as they seem. They're not good by any means, don't get me wrong. Last week looked super ugly, but I mean, the Rams are just really good, and the Rams are capable of coming in, kicking the crap out of you if you're not quite up to par. Giants are starting to get a little bit healthier, which is a low bar because they were so injured, but I think 3 is high here.
Yeah.
I agree.
I actually really like that pick. Really like that pick.
I teased it up to 9. It's a low total game, so the points matter. With the totals like 42 and a hook. So anytime low total games, you get a home dog, move that up to a 9 or an 8.5. Great teaser spot for the Giants this week.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I like that a lot. I hadn't even thought of that. But yeah, I mean, the Panthers, I don't see them beating anybody by double digits right now with this offense. I saw Matt Rule said this week, he's like, we're getting back to – that was another red flag. He was like, we're going to be running the ball this week. And I'm like,
they're running backs out.
Yeah, you don't have
and I noticed it too. I was not ready to declare a massive drop-off between Hubbard and McCaffrey because running backs sometimes can be like a dime a dozen.
Like last night?
Yeah, exactly. But exactly my point with last night. But Chuba Hubbard has not handled the auxiliary things well. Protection schemes, catching the ball out of the backfield. Massive drop off there, and that's Sam Darnold's security blanket and the polish. I've seen a lot of regression from Sam over the last 3 weeks, and I think on the road it continues again this week. I do.
Yeah,
no, for sure, and I agree. And I think that's the only time a running back will matter to a point spread is when there's someone who is super involved in the passing game. It's just a straight early down runner like Nick Chubb last night. I think it's worth virtually nothing to a point spread. But
agreed.
Yeah, red flag, Andrew or deal breaker. It's a game I play with my friends.
Many red flags.
We're not necessarily talking about betting.
No. You should. That actually is a really good segment idea, though, Jack. Write that down. Red flag or deal breaker.
Jack.
That's good.
Red
That's
flag
good.
Or deal breaker.
I love dating and gambling comparisons. I think there's a lot of comparisons in there, and we can have some fun with that down the road. We did a brainstorming before we started the show a couple months ago. Swipe left, swipe right was an idea for a game.
Red flag or
red flag or deal breaker. Come into the show next week.
These dating analogies have come up a few times. Isn't a red flag and a deal breaker like both bad things? Shouldn't it be like red flag or
deal breakers are things you can improve? Or I mean, you can improve.
Raising, maybe it makes you double think, but deal breaker is like, nope, I won't even.
So deal breaker is worse than a red flag.
Yeah, deal breaker. Yes, deal breakers breaks the deal. No, not good. All right, Andrew, who else you got this weekend?
All right, that was my sexy pick, was the Giants. Now I also like, and there's a couple totals I like. I like the under in the Ravens-Bengals game, 46.5. It has already come down a little bit from 47.5. I think that everyone's talking about the Bengals being 4-2, but when they talk about the Bengals, it's all about Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, potentially Rookie of the Year. Look at this connection. The defense is getting no attention, and I think that's mistaken. The defense is probably more like the reason they're 4-2.
Totally agree.
I think this stat would surprise some people. The Bengals are giving up 6.5 yards per pass attempt. That's the third best mark in the entire league. They are seventh best in yards per rush attempt allowed. I think they can stop the run, and obviously that's very key to stopping the Ravens' offense. Guys like Eli Apple, who everyone loves to hate, has been playing very well in the Bengals secondary. Chidobe Awuzie, very well in the Bengals secondary. They've spent a lot of money on defense the past couple of seasons. The Bengals always used to be the most conservative team in free agency, and now the past 2 seasons, they've spent a ton of money. Some of them have panned out, some of them haven't. But the defense is dramatically better than it was last year. I think they're going to slow down the Ravens. Obviously, it's a huge game for both sides. Yeah. The Ravens defense on the flip side, I think, is also a lot better than people are talking about. They kind of randomly got shredded by Carson Wentz once recently. But other than that, they've been amazing. Held the Chargers to 6 points this week. A couple of games ago, they only gave up 7 points to the Broncos. The week before that, they completely shut down the Lions. Not like that's saying much. Okay. Last week, the Bengals completely shut down the Lions. Not like that's saying much. But they both shut down the Lions completely. I'm sorry. Sorry. And when you throw
win eventually, I promise. One show without just crapping on the Lions.
Oh, I'm gonna find a way to fit it in every time I'm on. Just to let you know. Even if they're on bye week, I'll find a way.
Bye week. The Lions, by the way.
And when you throw in the fact that it's AFC North rivalry game, both teams are going to determine who's in first place. I think that the Bengals played at an extremely slow pace too, even though they let Burrow sling it around sometimes. They played at a very slow pace, so I think a lot of things point toward the under here.
Here's the thing. I'm also betting this game, but I'm betting the Bengals money line at plus 220. And let me tell you why. So I think the Bengals are legit. I mean, you were just talking about their defense. They're incredible, particularly against the run. Joe Burrow, I think, is really starting to come out of his post-ACL injury thing that he was going through. Jonah Williams, for me, isn't getting enough credit for playing well at left tackle. Jamar Chase, absolute monster. And I look at last week. You talked a little bit about it. Justin Herbert and the Chargers, I mean, they crushed them. So but I don't think that they're going to be able to necessarily make life as equally as difficult for the Bengals as they did last week. I mean, I think that Cincinnati matches up particularly well against the Bengals. The Bengals are excellent against the blitz. I look at Joe Burrow. He's completed 72.3% of his passes for just under 500 yards, 493 to be exact, 6 touchdowns, and 1 interception when facing pressure this season. His passer rating in those scenarios is 136.8. That's really good. And the Ravens have been a really big blitz-heavy team. They blitzed 32% of the time this season, which is the 5th most in the NFL. And that's helped them in previous matchups, including last week, week 6, against the Chargers and Justin Herbert, who had a passer rating of 96.1 when facing the blitz. But I think against Burrow, this is going to be a little bit more difficult for the Ravens to do. It's also worth noting, I think, that the Bengals have kept almost all of their games close this season, right? 4 of their games have been decided by exactly 3 points. Well, the other 2 were wins of 14 over the Steelers, which honestly isn't saying much, and then over the Lions. But they have covered a 6-point spread in all 6 of their previous games. So I look at this and I'm like, I really like the Bengals in this one. They've lost. This isn't saying much. This is making more of a statement for the Ravens side. They've lost all 5 of the games Lamar Jackson has started against them during his career. This might seem like an advantage to the Ravens. I think for me, though, it could also mean that the Bengals will come into this one motivated. They're like, hey, I want to beat this guy for one time. You know what I mean? We saw that happen with the Ravens earlier this year. They covered week 2 against the Chiefs. And I feel really good about the Bengals money line in this one. So
yeah, I agree. I agree.
I'll add one thing.
I like
when I reached out to bookmakers this week, I saw some sharp movement towards Cincy too, and I was like, wow, the Bengals might be really a good play. And I actually bet a full unit on them. Then I got a response from a bookmaker that gave me a nugget that was very interesting that I didn't think about. The Ravens are 8-1 against the number in their last 9 divisional games. Ooh. They upped their game in the division, and it's not like the AFC North has been like a cakewalk the last 2 years. It's been tough. The Browns are good, Steelers are good, and I know those teams maybe aren't as good as the Ravens have been, but that division's tough, and they play their divisional opponents really good. So that scares me enough to make it from a unit to a half a unit on the Bengals. I like them taking 6.5. I think if all those things happen the way Lauren said it, they could absolutely win this game. But something about the Ravens elevating their game in these moments paused me enough to not fully invest in Cincy this week. But if I were to pick a side, I would definitely take the Bengals.
The Bengals could also equally elevate their game in a game like this, right?
Sure.
They lost the last.
They haven't done it in the division though over the last 2 years, whereas Lamar Jackson has. That's where I would
there's
pause.
a chance, Jared.
There's always a chance.
It works every time. So that's all I got to say about that. Andrew, are you on any other games heading into this weekend?
I am. I like the Bengals too. I mean, I like the Bengals on the money line because I think it is like a toss-up. Like it feels like getting better than 2-1 seems great to me.
Agreed with that. Yes, absolutely.
Like you said, because they've been playing. I mean, both their losses were only by a field goal. I mean, one was that crazy overtime game to the Packers. So I mean, it feels like definitely could win outright. What else do I have? Yeah. So the next play that I have,
my Apple Watch just buzzed, and it says it's time to stand up. It's like, okay. We're recording a show, people. I don't need to stand up right now.
Just take a lap. Andrew will give you his next handicap. You just take a lap around your apartment. Go open up your little wine cellar back there.
So I can't stand up. The beautiful thing about doing television.
I'll speak loudly. You can hear me from the next room.
Waist
party on the bottom. Oh my gosh. Okay, Andrew, save us, please.
That was a good sign for the Bengals. If that's not a good omen.
I agree.
By the way, I don't know if you guys remember that we did this show a few weeks ago. There was that light flickering, and I was like, wow, that's a bad omen. But then I went undefeated, so it turned out to be a good omen. So I need a little bit of that juju again.
I mean, I can mess with the lights.
Yeah, somebody flanker with their lights. I'll do it too. Thank you. The last play that I like, this is a tough one. If anyone's watching this at home, I would monitor the weather. Because this is frustrating. If the weather here was clear, this would probably be my best bet of the week. Would be one of my favorite bets of the year because I really like the matchup here for the over in this Colts 49ers game. I got all excited. This has been happening all year. Every time I have a spot circled, something goes wrong. If there's a spot, like I'm looking a week ahead, I'm like, wow, I really hope this thing could happen and this thing could happen to set up this perfect spot next week. It never has been happening this year. This week, I loved this over. I got so excited when it first opened. I went out and bet it right away without considering the weather. It's the over in this Colts 49ers game. There's apparently a storm brewing in San Francisco. Classic. It looks like there could be very heavy rain and wind. If I were you and hadn't bet it yet, I would maybe wait till a little closer to kickoff. If it does clear up, the total I expect to rise somewhat significantly, but it could get really, really bad weather-wise, so I would maybe wait on it. That being said, I'll talk about why I like it still, the matchup on both sides of the ball. The Colts quietly, I mean, Carson Wentz, I was not a Carson Wentz guy coming into the year. There's no choice but to admit that he's been playing really, really well. He's thrown one interception all season. He threw for over 400 yards against the Ravens. He just torched the Texans last week. I mean, Carson Wentz is not just playing well. He's playing like a top-tier quarterback right now. The 49ers defense is nowhere near as good as it was a couple years ago. They've still got injuries in the secondary. Quentin Nelson looks like he could be coming back for the Colts. That'd be a huge boost for them. They're getting a little healthier on the offensive line. And he's been doing a great job finding Michael Pittman, finding their tight ends, finding Mo Alley Cox, guys like that. Jonathan Taylor was fantastic last week. On the flip side of the ball, I think the 49ers can also have some success. The Colts secondary is terrible. The Colts have been really good against the run. They've been awful against the pass, which obviously favors the over. Kyle Shanahan's a guy who knows how to exploit matchups. He's not the kind of coach who's going to go out and run it 1,000 times if it's not working. So and again, in a normal weather game, I would expect Shanahan to be letting Jimmy G let it loose a little bit more than usual here. This Colts secondary has just been really, really bad. Obviously, they themselves, the night Wentz balled out, got torched by Lamar Jackson. They let Lamar Jackson set literally many NFL records in that game. They were so bad. Last week, the Colts defense, it looks like they played better than they actually did because they were playing Davis Mills. And the Texans, Davis Mills actually moved the ball a handful of times into Colts territory. They just kept melting down in the red zone and whatnot and didn't punch it in. But I really feel like 44 would be extremely low if there's no weather. But unfortunately, there is weather, so keep an eye on that.
Yeah. I'm actually betting that game too, and it's part of my Jabbar lay this week. I have
I saw.
I have the most random Jabbar lay ever this week, but I'm
it's hitting this week. I'm calling it. This is the week. This is the week.
I was texting Jared on Monday this week with the Bills because that was the second leg of my parlay with the Bills -5.5, and it looked like it was going to happen for the longest time. And Jared goes, "This is the week. This is the week." And literally 2 minutes later, he's like, "This is not the week.
This is not the week.
This is not the
I was rooting for it too. I was rooting for it too. I didn't have anything else to root for in the game. I was hoping they would cover.
I love having the most supportive coworkers. This is the week for the Jabbar lay. Let me tell you what it is. Colts at 49ers. I have the Colts money line and the Jets total points under 17. Valued at plus 437 on FanDuel. So,
spicy.
Why not? I'm just gonna I was just I'm gonna find a random ass parlay and make it.
No, I think it's a good parlay. I honestly do. I really do.
It? Okay, good.
I really do.
Let me give the people what they want.
It.
Let me tell the people why they need to bet this Jbara, because the Colts are 4-point underdogs against 49ers, right? Indianapolis, though, has played better as of late. And I think that they're going to keep this one close. They have a 2-4 record, but they've kept all of their games close so far. In fact, 4 of their past 5 games, they've had a fourth quarter lead, which is, that says something. That sucks that they've blown fourth quarter leads quite often. The only game which they didn't was week 3 against the Titans, where Carson Wentz played with 2 sprained ankles, which I still don't know how he did that, which, I can barely walk without a sprained ankle. So you know what, him playing a football game with 2 sprained ankles, good for him. On one hand, it bodes well for the Colts because they've kept things close, held late leads. On the other, they've blown a couple of those leads. So it's easy to understand why, some people would be apprehensive to trust them, right? But they have a good team. You said it. Wentz is playing well. T.Y. Hilton's back, though he's questionable because of a quad injury this week. But if they could take advantage of the 49ers secondary, which is still beat up after their bye week. And if quarterback Xavier Rhodes plays for the Colts, they should be able to contain the 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo-led offense. I think the Niners have averaged just 17.5 points per game on offense in their 4 games since week 1. But they may be better after a bye, but it's still easy to imagine the Colts pulling off the upset in this one. So I think if you're a bit lukewarm on money line in this one, you can always bet, the Colts with the points. But for my Jbara, I like a
go for it.
Money line straight up. Again, Andrew, you got to risk it for the biscuit. So that's exactly what I'm doing. And then the Jets playing the Patriots. I like the Jets under 17 for their total points. I look at Bill Belichick, right? He's 23-6. Against rookie quarterbacks in his career, which includes 2 wins this year.
And unbeaten at home. He's never lost to a rookie quarterback at home.
I didn't know that. Well, that's
ever.
Okay. That adds to my parlay. Just gives it a little extra spice. I look at the Patriots. They beat Zach Wilson and the Jets in week 2, held them to 6 points. In week 5, they beat Davis Mills and the Texans, though Mills and the Texans racked up 22 points. But they still beat them. So even with Mills' strong performance, they allowed an average of 11.3 points per game in their past 7 outings against rookie quarterbacks. Their defense knows how to rattle the young passers, and Bill Belichick schemes up creative coverages to make life difficult on guys like Wilson. That's part of the reason why he threw 4 picks in his first game against the Patriots. And maybe the Jets will play better in their second go around. Sorry, Jared, I'm kind of crapping on your team.
They will not. No, they will not play better. They will lose this game.
History said that they're still not going to score very much.
Patriots on the teaser is one of my favorite teaser legs this week.
I honestly would feel a little bit better if the over-under total was 17.5 in this one. 2 touchdowns and a field goal, but the Patriots, I don't think are going to need that much to be able to limit Wilson. And even with the Jets coming off a bye week, I like that. So Jbara, again, recap, Colts money line, Jets total points under 17, valued at plus 437 on FanDuel. I feel really good about it.
It's hitting 100%.
Are you confident enough that you're going to bet it too?
Yes.
Whoa, okay.
I will take a sprinkle of my bankroll, and because I haven't bet one of them yet. I have not felt as confident as them.
Well, then you're going to bet it, and then you're going to take credit for it.
I'm not going to take any credit for it. No, this is all you, girl. I promise.
I'm going to bet it, and I will take credit for it. Don't worry about that.
Last week, you had to be back on one this week.
I'm not taking any credit. This is all you. So if it loses, I'm going to blame you too. That's how it goes.
It's fair.
Thank you. As long as you don't tweet bad things at me on Twitter. I'm okay.
No, I would never do that.
I would never.
Only if you tweet about liking candy corn. That's the only way I would do that.
Oh, candy corn.
I know. We had an argument with Alex about that.
Both don't like candy corn?
Topics out there. Candy corn is trash, and pineapple does not belong on pizza.
Yeah, Jack's gonna. She's gonna go off the rails if we go down.
Jack,
the candy
our producer
corn.
Jack just puts in the comment section. He goes, "Don't start." He said it started World War. Apparently, people were so up in arms. Apparently,
they were.
My tweet caused World War 3 and 4 this week. I don't understand how it happened, but
people are very passionate about the Halloween candy this time of year.
Yeah, that I don't get. It's I'm not quite like you guys. I don't hate it that much, but I don't get how anybody could possibly love candy corn that much. That they would
ask Alex Glaze.
They would defend it to the death.
He is stumping candy corn for president of the Halloween candy world.
Another polarizing topic. I love Peeps.
To each their own.
I love Peeps.
I do too.
I don't mind.
I like Peeps. I like anything marshmallow. I like any marshmallow.
I don't mind Peeps. I will say this: they don't sit well with me afterwards. They're a little bit fluffy, but
it's all it's just fake synthetic.
It's just gelatinous fat
whipped up in the lab.
Peeps and Taco Bell just not good for them.
Oh, I do love Taco Bell. Rabbit hole here.
Our best bets of the day, the Pickswise play of the day. At the end of every show, we give our picks. But before that, Jared, give us a 3-star Pickswise play of the day.
There's actually a bunch tomorrow. Speaking of Alex Glaze, shout out. He was hot with his PODs. Lost last night with the Braves, snapped a streak, but he's still 7-1 on his last 8, which is pretty good. He is on the under in Wisconsin-Purdue tomorrow. And also Luke Lindholm has got Colorado plus 8.5 at Cal. Our buddy Connor Grutenhuis, sorry if I mispronounced your last name, under 46.5 Illinois at Penn State. And how about an EPL pick? Because we do have an EPL pick from Henry Hardwick. He's on Southampton, laying a short number at home against Burnley tomorrow. So those are EPL college football picks for Saturday. Check it out, Pickswise.com. A lot of good info on there for some 3-star plays this weekend.
We are combining our plays of the day to create the Sweat Parlay giveaway. If this parlay hits, then we are giving one lucky follower all of the winnings. All you have to do is retweet for a chance to win the Sweat Parlay. Good luck.
My play of the day is for Sunday. It's not for Friday. I'm an NFL guy, keeping it in the NFL wheelhouse. I'm going with the Eagles plus 3 over the Raiders. Speaking of teams that are fraudulent, I am not buying this Raiders team. Sure, they kicked the crap out of the Broncos last week. Look what last night happened. That doesn't look quite as impressive. Denver's now dropped 4 straight games. They can't do anything on offense. So I don't think that was as much a sign of the Raiders' strength as it was an early sign of the Broncos' incompetence that we again saw last night. Teddy Bridgewater clearly just does not have it right now. The Raiders, I think that was the kind of game where they kind of came out on fire, rallied around the team. Obviously, in the wake of the John Gruden scandal resignation, that was their kind of gut check moment. They all rallied around for each other, came out with their best effort of the season, this, that, and the other. And now is when what goes up must come down. This is now the letdown spot where they come crashing down to earth. The Raiders' interior offensive line is very weak. They've been doing a lot of things there. They kicked Alex Leatherwood inside from tackle to guard. They're starting a center who had never taken a single snap at center before this season. He had never even played center in college before this season. And when you look at the Eagles, one of the strengths of their team is their interior defensive line with Fletcher Cox. I really expect them to kind of wreck the game up the middle. So I think that matchup favors the Eagles defense. The Raiders, it's like, if you look at some of their past games, even some of their wins, like they beat the Dolphins in overtime with Jacoby Brissett, the Dolphins team that has lost 5 games in a row and is looking like a contender for the first overall pick right now. The Raiders squeaked by them at home by the skin of their teeth. So even in Las Vegas's wins, I haven't been too impressed. And I think Philly, I'm not a super big Eagles guy, but I think some things favor them here. I think they'll be able to hit a few of the big plays. It's kind of like everything the Eagles do now is either like screen or deep shot, but I think the deep shot will have some success against the Raiders. I saw Trayvon Mullen was banged up for the Raiders. I got to see if he's playing. I'm actually not sure. If he doesn't, that's a huge plus for the Eagles as well. The Eagles also finally should be able to run the ball with Miles Sanders. I know I saw Nick Sirianni said this past week, we've got to get Miles Sanders more involved. They've said that a few times, but they were playing the Bucs last week. So it was like fair enough that they didn't try and run on the Bucs. Yeah. Here is where I think Miles Sanders will actually get going. The Raiders have been very susceptible to the run. We saw it a week before with the Chargers. Look, the Raiders, they came out with their interim coach. They beat the Broncos. What did they do the 2 weeks before that? They lost. They got blown out by the Chargers. They got beat soundly by the Bears. They scored 23 points combined in those 2 games. And then the week before that, the Dolphins debacle. It's like they haven't been good at all recently, in my opinion. I'm taking the 3 points with the Eagles, and I think the Eagles have a very good chance to win outright as well.
I actually like the Eagles, and I've hated the Eagles in weeks past, but I actually might
come on back.
I might jump on it.
The water's warm.
Coming back home, baby. Coming back home. Jared, who do you have heading into this weekend?
All right, so AO's giving out an NFL pick Sunday. I know you are targeting Saturday, so I'll give the viewers something to chew on tonight. There is a baseball game happening tonight, a pretty important one, probably the most important one of the season for these two teams. Red Sox and Astros. This game is in Houston. It is Nate.
Problem.
Houston. No, they haven't had a problem the last 2 nights. They've been playing pretty well.
Really
so it's Evaldi versus Garcia, And I'm going to do my best Count Dracula impression here. So Nathan Eovaldi has gotten progressively worse this postseason. His first start, he gave up a 1 earned run. His second start, he gave up a 2 earned runs. His last start, he gave up a 3 earned runs. Then in relief on Tuesday, he gave up a 4 earned runs in less than an inning. That was terrible, Count Dracula. I apologize.
Never again.
Roast me for it. Roast me. My point is, he has gotten progressively worse throughout this postseason, and I think it's going to continue today. Meanwhile, on the other side, Luis Garcia's had 2. I won't do the impression. He's had 2 starts in the playoffs. He's given up a combined 10 earned runs in those 2 starts. Translation, I expect there to be some offense in this game tonight. I think you're getting a pretty good number, 8.5 to the over. Reason, all 5 previous games in this series have had at least 9 runs. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Over 8.5 Red Sox Astros tonight. And I hope, as a Yankees fan, that the Red Sox season ends, but you never know. We'll see what happens.
I know it is going to be really exciting to watch. And, obviously the last 3 nights watching the Braves playing the Dodgers, and now the series is coming back here to Atlanta. It's postseason baseball is really good this year.
Stressful.
Really good. Stressful, but really fun to watch.
Are you going to go to game 6 or 7? In Atlanta? Are you going to get to go to either the 6 or 7 in Atlanta? Yeah, I remember.
But I will be mostly on the road. I don't think I'll be able to go. But I will be watching on TV, and I'm going to be rooting for the Braves. I can't even wait. It's going to be awesome. I'm a full-blown Atlantean now. I don't even know if that's how you say it, but I'm an Atlantean.
Southern charm.
Yeah, Southern charm, baby. I love it. All right. I'm heading to college football this weekend for my best bet.
Speaking of Southern charm.
I have Clemson. I'm betting a lot of money lines today.
Yeah, that's on brand for you.
I know. I'm betting a lot of plus money.
Also on brand.
Money lines. Plus money lines.
Yeah, go with it.
That's not weird when I say it.
Plenty lines.
Plenty lines. Yeah. I like that.
I've been, exactly. So I'm betting the Clemson money line plus 138. How many times do you think we can say money line in
It's lost all meaning.
So, honestly.
Semantic cessation. I think it's called semantic cessation or something like that. I don't know what it's
exactly. Exactly. That always happens to me when I say Wednesday too many times. It's just such a weird word. Anyways, the entire world seems to believe that Clemson stinks. And now Pitt has finally entered the polls. This means, you guys, it is time to get behind the Tigers and fade the Panthers. Yes, Pitt is 5-1 and has an explosive offense. Kenny Pickett, so good. But the problem is, Pitt's offense is also just one-dimensional. So while the Panthers rank 3rd nationally with passing efficiency of 183.9, they rank 41st nationally in rushing success rate. Also, it's impossible to ignore the disparity between Pitt's performance in non-conference play compared to ACC play. I look overall, the Panthers offense ranks 9th nationally with a success rate of 48.1, okay? In 4 games outside of the ACC, that number rises to just about 52%. In 2 ACC games against Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech, it drops to 41.2%. Now, no disrespect to either Tech, but their defenses just aren't as good as Clemson's. Yes, the Tigers have struggled offensively. Defensively, though, they rank 16th nationally and 2nd nationally in points allowed per drive. So the Tigers defense has been really, really good at limiting explosive plays in the passing game, which is where Pitt's offense makes its living. So I look at Clemson and I'm like, maybe their defense can get them to win in this game. So I have Clemson's money line plus 138.
Sharpest pick you've ever made. I'm not even joking. You're right. Everyone's on Pitt. How can you lay with Pitt against Clemson? When was the last time Clemson was an underdog in an ACC game too?
Yeah, for real.
You got to take the points or take the money line with Clemson. I don't think there's anyone who's laying with Pitt is asking for trouble. You're buying the ass end of the market.
You got to get in on the plus money line.
You're a sharp. This is the sharpest play you've made on this show. So kudos to you.
Good. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Got you.
So I'm going to take that. I'm riding high into the weekend. Andrew's on his pedestal again. His humble pie has come and gone. He's on his pedestal. Jared's feeling good because he has all 4 major sports heading into the weekend plus soccer. It's going to be a good weekend, guys. I'm really looking forward to it. So on that, we are ending on a high note. Glass not only half full, glass is fully full. So that's it for us today. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to Pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter and make sure you guys download the Pickswise app because if you don't have it on your phone, you're clearly doing something wrong. You're missing out. So get that Pickswise app on your smartphone. For Jared Smith, Andrew Ortenberg, I'm Lauren Jbara. JSAOLJ. Best of luck tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow. We'll see you Monday. Let's get it. What is it, guys?
Let's bet it.
Let's bet it.
Yes.